Good afternoon, dear students. Welcome to Braille. This is a lesson that is being taught online by the expert, Wande Pascal. And in Braille, we will be able to look at three key areas. The first one, we look at Braille 1, that is basic English Braille, IE 021. The second one, we look at Braille, advanced English Braille, IE 028. And the third one, we look at mathematics Braille notation, IE 033. It's good also to note that Braille is governed by rules and that Braille depends on your speed. Braille also requires a good mastery of concepts. Braille has contractions that we look at later, and your ability to formulate Braille digitally is always not a sure bet that you have mastered it, but the use of the machine, that is the Perkins Braille machine. And so under the basic English Braille, we will look at the historical development of Braille and Braille writing equipment. And under that, we look at the development of Braille itself, and we look at the Braille writing equipment. In the second unit, we look at English Braille, alphabet and upper word signs. We look at the letters of the English alphabet in Braille. We'll also look at the simple upper word signs. In unit number 3, we will look at what is called simple upper group signs. The first one, look for and for the with as group signs. We will look at upper group signs with letter H. We'll look at 4 upper group signs and 2 with E and 2 with the letter O. We'll look at the last 4 group signs. In unit number 4, we'll look at lower group signs, the lower word signs and composition signs. And so each will be, the first one under that unit 4 will be lower group signs, followed by the lower word signs, followed by the composition signs. Now, under the historical development of Braille and Braille writing equipment, we say that the objectives here is that by the end of this unit, the teacher student should be able to trace the development of Braille from the 19th century to date, that is to date is 21st century. They should also be able to name various Braille writing equipment. They should be able to identify parts and explain functions of parts of Perkins Braille. And finally, they should be able to explain the use and care for the Braille writing equipment. So what is Braille? We say that Braille is a system of embossed dots which are formed using combinations of six dots, and these dots are arranged in in 2 vertical rows of 3 dots each. And therefore, remember that Braille is for persons with visual impairment. So persons with visual impairment, they use the Braille machine so that they can be able to read, especially these dots, through the sense of touch. And those who read through touch, we refer to them as touch readers. They use their fingers to tell the position and arrangement of dots, and people who see do not need to use fingers while reading Braille. So they look and see the arrangements of the dots and know what is communicated. And therefore, Braille writing is very different from print writing. And each letter of the alphabet and all other print characters and symbols, they have their Braille equivalent depending on the arrangement of the dots. And this is done by using the 6 dots of the Braille, the 6 dots of the Braille cell. We we also look at the historical development of Braille. So under the historical development of Braille, that is before Braille was derived as a system of reading and writing, of course, for people who are blind, there were other efforts to enable them to read and also to communicate with each other on or with the sighted individuals. So this included the works of people such as Valentine Hui, Charles Babbage, and also the man called Louis Braille. So Valentine Hui, that is between the year of 1745 and 1822, we say that in 1784, Valentine Hui founded the first school for the blind in Paris and realized that the development of some methods of reading and writing was a precondition for providing any systematic and meaningful education to persons who are blind, and therefore Way concentrated on using regular print in embossed form. This form of embossed print went through many modifications and simplifications, and therefore would not survive long. And all embossed letters had for the blind one basic shortcoming. It was talking to the fingers the language of the eye. And so talking to the fingers the language of the eye is not that easy. It is very difficult, and this was a shortcoming from the development of Valentine Way. And Charles Babbage, 1767 and 1841, he was an army officer in the French army. And also, Charles was an engineer. He needed to send messages without being discovered at night. So this could only be done by touch. And it is on this basis that he came up with tangible dots. It was the idea of Charles to use embossed dots, as the medium most suited for such touch reading. His system was used by soldiers to communicate at night in the battlefield. And Charles Babbage's system consisted of 12 dots, 6 vertical dots in 2 rows. The greatest disadvantage of this system was its difficulty for touch reading, since the dots could not be well covered by the fingerprints, by the fingertips, sorry. Louis Braille of 1809 and 1852, he was Louis Braille, who was also a Frenchman. He became blind when he was young. He became blind when he was young, and this did not stop him. He was acquainted with Babbage's system of dots while he was still quite young. So he used it experimentally with his pupils when he became a teacher. He also conceived the idea of using the upper half of the Babbage cell and design an alphabet now with 6 dots, 6-dot cell that had 2 rows of 3 dots. I remember the one for Babbage was having 12 dots. And now the Louis one now was 6 dots arranged in 2 rows of 3 dots each. And so the new code, now called Braille, was accepted in the year 1854. That is 2 years later after Louis Braille's death. It is the Braille cell that we are using currently today. So we talk about Braille writing and production equipment. The following are some of the major Braille writing equipment. We have one is called slate and stylus. We have a slate and a stylus. I'll be able to show you this. We have Braillers. We have Jotter dot. We have Braille embosser. We also have the thermoform machine. So this is how slate and stylus looks like. Slate and stylus, we use them. Slate and stylus uses a system where you write from right to the left, but when you're reading, you turn the paper so that you can read from right to the left. It's kind of a mirror reflection kind of writing, but it again presents the dots because the stylus is sharp and is pressed inside a paper, onto the paper inside the slate. We have braillers. What is a brailler? Braillers are machines that are used for writing Braille by pressing keys which produce the raised dots or the embossed dots. There are a variety of Braillers. The following are some of the major ones. Braille writing machines. The Braille writing machines include the Perkins Brailler. This is the one that is adopted to be used by majority of the learning institutions and by the individuals who are having visual impairments. We have the Marburg Brailler. We also have Eureka Brailler. We have Perkins Braille machine, just as I've talked about the Braillers, and so the number one types of Brailler, it was Perkins, and so this is how Perkins Braille machine looks like. And now allow me to take you through the parts of the Perkins Braille machine and probably the function also of those parts. The Perkins Braille machine, it has the top, it has the sides, two sides. It also has the back plate. It has the front plate here, and then it has the bottom. The bottom is just a wooden part, and the most current ones, the modern ones, are having the plastic bottom. And so let's start with the margin setters. This thing here, this one that you can be able to see here, and another one is found on the right. So we have the margin setters, one at the right, another one at the left. We use them to set the margin on the left and the margin on the right to enable us to start embossing. We have, the other one is called the paper release knob. One on the right, we call them the ears of the Perkins machine. One on the left, and another one is on the right. That is the paper, the paper release. There are two. One is here, and another one is here. The function of the paper release is to release the paper outside the machine. Then we have the paper feed knob. The paper feed knob are now the ones called the Braille ears. They are used to feed in the brown paper, the white Braille paper into this machine and out of the machine. We have the handle that is used for transportation or for carrying of the Perkins Braille machine. We also have the embossing head, of the carriage. The carriage carries the embossing head. The embossing head has the tips, the sharp tips that are able to emboss the raised dots that persons with visual impairments are able to do what? To touch and recognize through the sense of touch for communication purposes. And still on the embossing head, there is a stripper plate that is also adjoined to the embossing head as part of its components. We have the grooved roller. The grooved roller, as you are able to see, it is a roller here, this one here. It has rubber bands, black rubber bands here, which are able now to hold the paper so that the paper does not run out once it is fitted into the machine. This is called the grooved roller. Then we have the carriage lever, this one here. The carriage lever is what now makes the embossing head to move. We can press it on the top here to move the embosser to the right and also to the left. It is called the carriage lever. And then we have the Braille keys. Braille keys. We have the first one on the left is called a line spacer. You have been embossing on the first line, and now you want to move to the second line, you press the line spacer once so that you can get to the next line. And then we have the Braille 6 dots. The 6 dots are arranged from the right to the left. We have dot 1, dot 2, dot 3, and then on the other side we have dot 4, dot 5, dot 6. The one in the middle is called the space bar. Space bar. You want to space between a word and a word, or a letter and a letter, you press the space bar key once. Then on the far right hand side, we have what is called the backspacer. The backspacer, when you press the backspacer, the backspacer is able to return the embossing head backwards. And so I will also take a video on how these parts function, and I will be able to show you subsequently probably in the next lessons. So this is still a skeleton of the embossing of the embosser, the Braille, the Perkins Braille. Now, and so we talked about other Braille writing equipment. We have Jotadot, which is an electronic mini Braille writing machine, also referred to as a pocket Braille. It was developed in Australia. This is a portable Brailling device and the most recent form of note-taking machine for persons who are blind. It uses light paper as opposed to the other Braillers, which must use the heavy Braille paper. We have Braille embosser. The embosser is the most recent development in Braille writing and mass production of Braille material. In other words, Braille embosser works similarly to a printer. The difference is that it's able to emboss the information into raised dots on a special material of paper that is a thread-like. The thermoform in this case now is not a writing equipment, but it is a machine for mass production of Braille copies. And it works again with the same principles as the duplicating machine. And it is, however, slow because the production is one page at a time. It uses the thermoform uses heat energy so that the production is accurate and resembles the original copy. So how do you care and maintain the Braille writing equipment? We can care and maintain Braille writing equipment by covering the machine with the dust cover every time. Every time that machine is not in use. And I want to show you how that is done. And so here with me, I have a Perkins Braille machine. I have a Perkins Braille machine. I want to show you how it works. Yeah, this is a Perkins Braille machine. This is a Perkins Braille machine. You can see it is covered with the brown polythene. It's covered with the brown polythene. So this is a Perkins Braille machine. So we can cover the machine so that we protect it from the dust particles. We can also store the machine in a safe, dry place to avoid dampness for the preservation of metal parts. Cleaning and lubricating the parts regularly. And of course, we clean using turpentine, and we also have a special grease for it. Tightening of loose screws and nuts, and then replacing of faulty parts when needed. So this is just basic maintenance and care for the Braille writing equipment. Then we talk about now English Braille alphabets and simple upper word signs. Remember, I said that Braille cell has 6 dots. arrange dot 1, 2, 3 to the left, dot 4, 5, 6 to the right. And that means that our next lesson tomorrow, I will now begin looking at the letters of the alphabet. God bless you and have a blessed day.